Welcome back to another Millennial in-depth video. If you are new here, hit the subscription button below, turn on the notification bell so you get that every single time I upload a video. My book, So This Is Why I Am Broke, is officially 1 year old today. Well, officially 1 year old when you see this video. I'm actually filming this 2 days before its 1 year anniversary, and we're going to unpack some things together as we talk about the process to writing this book, and just a couple of author book writing things that I feel are so hush hush or taboo or whatever, or just simply things I did not know that I want any aspiring authors or any authors that, self-published and want to go the publisher route or anything like that, so that they have some information, to help them on the process. So I was contacted in, what month was this? What year is it? This is 2024. The book came out in 2022. Okay, so this is how my brain operates now, y'all. So I was contacted in, I want to say April or May, so spring of 2022, by my publisher. And so this is a lot different than the process that a majority of traditional published authors go through, because typically you will pitch your book or you will get an agent who will pitch your book, and then, you will strike up a contract and things like that. That was not my experience. So I was contacted by the publisher, and they came to me with having an idea for a finance book, and they wanted me to essentially pitch them how I would bring that idea to life. And the first pitch that I sent, they were just like, let's go back to the drawing board, because essentially I wanted to write a memoir. I wanted to write just my experiences with money and my expertise about money. And they were just like, listen, memoirs don't sell the way you think they do. Every millennial on the planet wants to write a memoir, because we just think we're so interesting. And they really had to pop that ego bubble and really tell me, like, girl, no. And so we reached a happy medium when I made my second pitch and essentially pitched them a personal finance book to teach people about money through my experiences. So still a little memoir through my mistakes, and really just solidifying myself as a, expert in the matter, and also really just showing that I am insanely human and make a ton of money mistakes. And so wherever you started is not your final destination, right? So that was like the premise of the book. And I started officially writing it in August of 2022. I essentially wrote this book in 6 months. But I just finished the first iteration of my intro. 3 chapters are due tomorrow. Okay, so we have just finished chapter 1. I'm about to email my editor, who hates me, I'm sure. I was copy editing by February 2023, and the book came out in May of 2023. My initial deadline was December 2022, but by December 2022, I was 2 chapters shy of, what I was supposed to do.
It is January. I'm still not done. I'm supposed to be done.
So, because when I pitched to them, they not only wanted, the ideas broken down, but they wanted how many chapters, what would the chapter title be, what would the chapters be about, who would be a part of the chapters, what, outside voices would you be using, additional voices would you be using. And so that process was so daunting. Had to adjust myself. That process was so daunting, because I really, in my mind, for some reason, silly of me, thought that writing a book would be so just beautiful. If that's the best word that I could think of. It would just be so Carrie Bradshaw coded. It would be so Sex in the City. I'd be frolicking around Manhattan. I never frolic around Manhattan for shits and giggles. There's always a purpose, right? Anyone in New York know you're in Manhattan for a purpose. Yes, I thought I'd be bouncing in and out of cafes and libraries and doing all these things. And I did write a great majority of the book in a library, in a coffee shop, but it definitely wasn't as beautiful or as pleasant as I thought it would be. It was work, right? It's work. Being an author, writing is work. So I don't know why I let my silly Sex and the City brain convince me otherwise. So that was my first realization that, look, writing a book that you want to be taken seriously, a book that you want to write well, it's not going to be all flowers, rainbows, and cups of coffee at 2 p.m. So that was the first thing. The second thing that I think was really eye-opening for me is that I had to really not just like humble myself and bring myself down, but really be open to feedback. And that is feedback of your friends and family, which of course is going to be a little, gentle for the most part, or just not, as feedbackish as you need it to be. But my editor, who was great, who was so kind and so gentle, really found or struck a balance between letting me know, some things need some adjustment, letting me know that some things just don't work or just don't fit, and letting me know when something like was perfect and how I should expand and continue that particular avenue or that particular style of writing about this particular topic. I struggled tremendously with writing the chapters about estate planning, the chapters about taxes, and the chapters about credit, because those areas of finance have people that are subject matter experts who have certifications and licenses and things like that to help people improve. And so I wanted to make sure that I not only included those voices, but also did the topics justice, right? And not just giving generalized brushstrokes over what you need to do. And so it was so important for me to get that feedback from my editor, where he was saying, like, maybe you can ask a credit specialist, or maybe you can ask an estate planning lawyer, or ask these certain people to, read this chapter, to add in their voice, add in their thoughts, so that your reader gets the best possible outcome, when they close this book, when the book is done. So that was really important to me, and it was more difficult than I thought it was going to be, because as a teacher, we get reviewed all the time, we get feedback, and I thought I was just like the feedback queen. Like, I thought I was just so open to it. Even at my last job, my last tech job, it was very feedback heavy. And so getting feedback about my writing and hearing like, hey, you are really good at writing, you're really good at this information, but maybe let's bring in someone who's an expert to add into what you're doing, was difficult, but something that I needed to hear and do in order to make sure that this book was as, factual and as helpful as possible. I had to really just do what I needed to be done. The third thing that I learned, and it's like I heard people kind of talking about it, but you are your book's biggest asset. You are your book's biggest supporter. You are your book's biggest marketing aspect. And that is because whether you have a really big publisher like the Big Five, Big Three, Big Three is a little controversial in these hip hop streets, or you have a more indie publisher, which I have an indie publisher, or you choose to self-publish, or you choose to do a hybrid, which I know that's gaining some traction. You are going to be the one peddling that book, and it really is going to make you feel almost like a drug dealer a little bit. Not that I would know. But yeah, it really makes you feel like you're on the corner like, hey, you want to try this book? You want to try this book? You want to try this little bit of this book? You want to try the sample of this book? At the time that the book reached pre-sale time, which is like super crucial, especially when I landed on any lists or awards or things like that, make that big splash. From that moment, from the moment I announced, showed the cover and opened pre-sale to today, like, I'm not even gonna say like it definitely slows down a bit, but from the pre-sale moment all the way to, I want to say maybe like 3 or 4 months after the book came out, I was on every podcast I could land on. My publicist, I hired a publicist to help me with the marketing of the book. We were working overtime. We were trying to get on everybody's TV set. We were trying to get on everybody's podcast, everybody's news article that had anything to do with money. We were trying and pitching and working so hard to be a part of it. And I really cannot say my publisher did jack shit to promote this book. not even a single solitary Instagram post, which they've done previously for other authors. Maybe they just like hate me. I don't know. That's the millennial ADHD in me who thinks everyone hates me. And I could be right. But they did not do a single thing to promote this book. Everything was based off, my work, my publicist's work on social media, and just like out of my pocket, my bank account was the one dropping to promote things and put together boxes and send things out, and just like it was all me. And I did not think it was going to be like that, because initially in the contracts and conversations, although they didn't say they were going to like help market my book, they did have a marketing department, and I did meet with the marketing department several times, and I did meet individually to set up a marketing plan and strategy. And basically it all just kind of fell on me. So it was just interesting and eye-opening, and I don't know if I will take the, self-publishing route in the future, if I will try to get an agent and pitch my book to a bigger publisher in the future. I literally don't know. But I just know that really like pissed me off. And having conversations with other authors, similar process, where it's just like, you better get a marketing plan together or figure out how to market this book on your own, because your publisher is really just responsible for distribution, getting your book into the hands of the people, but it's your job to make sure the people want the book, right? They want it in their hands. That I definitely didn't understand. And this is coming from someone who hired a literary lawyer to go page by page by page of that contract before I signed a single thing and go back and forth about it. So it wasn't like I just jumped into it blind, but there were two parts of the contract that, in looking back, I should have fought for differently, or had my lawyer kind of do something, because now it's kind of, we're on the other end of it. It's kind of too late. The first thing is the pay structure is so interesting. And I don't know if that's just how my publisher does it, or if that's how majority does it. So I get paid for this book 4 times a year. And so they send like, I know that's pretty staple tradition, where they'll send you like, this is how many books you sold in this quarter or whatever. And it was so fascinating, because I reached out to one of the people that I was in contact with at the publishing house to ask, like, hey, in the first month, because they only send out updates quarterly, so I just wanted to know in the first month, like, how many books did we sell? And she responded, and she was just like, oh, we've had about 3,000 books leave the warehouse, so that's like a really great start in the first month of your book, which is amazing. I know some people do like bigger numbers, but to have 3,000 in your first month is amazing, especially when books typically will sell like 1,000 in the lifetime of the book. So I was so excited. And then when I get the quarterly statement, they're like, oh, you only sold 1,000 books. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, what happened to the 3,000 books that were sent out of the warehouse? What's been fascinating or interesting to discuss and kind of argue is, you are paid for the books when your publisher is paid for the books. And so that's a thing, especially with other brands that I'm learning, for people who really want to be in big box stores. The first thing when you're in big box stores, you're going to pay a premium. And so being in Target, being in Barnes and Nobles, dream come true. Like, I can't even tell you how amazing and happy I am to see my face on a book being sold in a Target, and in a Barnes and Nobles, where I used to literally just go in Barnes and Nobles for hours and just to be around the books. Having my book at a library, the New York Public Library, which is one of the biggest libraries in the country, that is a dream for me, and I'm so thrilled and so happy. But with big box brands, they will order a certain amount based off like demand and people, pre-orders and things like that. And if they don't sell that amount, they will either like sell it back to the publisher, or they won't pay the publisher until the books are sold. That initial email and all the other numbers that I see, it's like, these are the books we've sent out because they've been ordered, but we haven't been paid for those books, so we cannot pay you. And another thing with big box is also they take the biggest chunk. So my book on Amazon takes 50% of the profit off that book. So it's just like, oh, so every book I sell on Amazon, I think I get like $2. So that's why we always say buy from independent bookstores, because we make the most from there, and they make the most as well. So that was fun to understand. And the last thing that really aggravated me was I wanted so badly to be the voice on my audiobook tremendously. Like, it was incredibly important to me. It was incredibly important for me to be on that cover in a way that was authentic to me, and I won that battle. I feel like this is me. Like, big hair, a little bit of booty out. That's who I am at my core. But I did not get to read my audiobook. My publisher sold the rights for the audio to a production company, and they hired a voice actor. And I remember them reaching out to me to ask, like, oh, how do you feel about this person? I didn't even open it to hear the people who were auditioning to read my book. I was just like, you had no interest in me reading my own story, which I literally from day one has said that I wanted to do. You go off, you record it, and the audiobook came out in September. So the book came out in May, and then the audiobook came out in September. And it's like, you recorded it, and now you want my opinion. That, like, honestly, truly, I was just done. I was done. And so now everything I do with the book and all the opportunities I've been afforded because of the book truly are a passion project for me. It is something I wanted to do, something I wanted to achieve and accomplish, something I love. I love my book. I love the work that went in there. I love the quotes and thoughts from, my subject matter experts in this book. I love that my friends and family engaged and supported so well. Like, I love everything about my book. I did not enjoy the publishing process. And so that left a bad taste in my mouth as to, I don't know what's next when it comes to being an author. I love being an author. I just did not love the process. And so I think if I do write another book, we'll have a different marketing plan, set far in advance, because I could go on for days and days and days with the tea on, my publishing experience, but I'll keep it cute for right now. I don't know what's going to happen if I will write another book. I don't know the process and how it'll go. I was considering writing a children's book about money. I think that would be really cool, and I think I have the chops to do so if I don't, toot my own horn. But I don't know. I don't know that if I had known what it would be like on this end, I don't know. I don't know how I would have done things differently. I definitely would have proceeded to write the book because, like I said, being an author has been a dream come true. It has been something I've wanted to do for a very long time, and no one will ever make me regret the amazingness that is this book, especially on its 1-year anniversary and all the places it's taken me, all the conferences I've been able to speak to, all of the features in media that I've had. We made it to Good Morning America, baby. Like, this book was on the screen in Times Square. Like, that is a dream come true. And so I will never let, what my experience with the publishing company was like to deter the fact that I love this book. And it's been a time. And here's to year 2 and seeing where this book will take us. And if you have not picked up a copy, I do suggest you grab one from so this is why I'm broke.com. You can choose which outlet you purchase from. Independent bookstores are best. And if you do want a signed copy, you can order from Astoria Bookshop, and I will have it sent out to you immediately. They do ship internationally. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for vibing with Millennial in Debt and my book. And I love y'all. And I will catch you in the next one.